Part 1. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 1. The behind-the-scenes boss system has been activated. This system is finally activated. The voice that sounded in his mind was so sweet to the current Qin Mu. It has been nearly half a month since he traveled through time and came to this legendary fantasy world. When he traveled over, he was bound to a big boss behind the scenes. The function of the system is to turn the thoughts in his mind into a reality in a secret way. And he only needs to hide behind the scenes, promote the development of things, be a big boss behind the scenes, and control everything. He thought he would just make great progress and move towards life. Peak. But who knew it was not that simple at all? The system went into sleep for unknown reasons as soon as he traveled through it, and this fantasy world is extremely dangerous, especially for the human race. This is an endless territory with thousands of races. A fantasy world full of masters. However, the power of the human race in this world is extremely weak. There have been several times in history that the inheritance was almost cut off due to weakness. In this world, there are the legendary ancient tribes, gods, and Aoxiao heaven and earth. Although the human race has the largest number of monsters, the human race is the weakest and has been struggling to survive. Being enslaved by the ancient tribes and being used as food by the monster tribe, this is the tragic situation of the human race. Qin Mu has just crossed over and is not familiar with cultivation. This world is not suitable for it, is even more dangerous for him. Fortunately, the system is finally activated now. Half a month is not too late. Due to insufficient energy, this system was unable to bind to the host in time to help the host. As compensation, the host is now given 50,000 shock points for free. The system's voice calmed down the anger in Qin Mu's heart. The system slept for half a month and received a compensation of 50,000 shock points. This can definitely be called sincerity. Qin Mu knew how difficult it was to get these 50,000 shock points. Qin Mu can use this behind-the-scenes boss system to consume shock points to construct various fantasy and secret realms. Once a living being enters the fantasy secret realm built by Qin Mu and is shocked by the secret realm created by Qin Mu will be given shock points. Qin Mu can use these shock points obtained from living creatures to improve his own strength, or continue to create new secret realms. Even constructing the lowest level secret realm requires at least hundreds of shock points. And these secret realms constructed with hundreds of shock points are shocking to mortals at best, but to monks, it is nothing more than that. The acquisition of shock points is related to the strength of the creature. The stronger the shocked creature's cultivation level, the more shock point feedback Qin Mu will receive. The system came up and gave Qin Mu 500 fixed shock points. In other words, Qin Mu's first startup capital was these 500 shock points. You can imagine how difficult it is to use these 500 shock points to earn 50,000 shock points. But now, after just waiting for half a month, the system compensated him with 50,000 shock points, which was 100 times more. This deal was definitely a good deal. Moreover, the initial number of shock points he possessed changed from 500 to 50,000, which meant that Qin Mu's starting point became higher. He can create more powerful secret realms to shock those monks with stronger cultivation, and then get more shock points from feedback. This is a virtuous cycle. 50,000 shock points cannot be wasted in vain. You must think carefully about how to make good use of it to earn more shock points. Qin Mu thought. The fantasy world he was in was divided into 5 major regions: the Eastern Wasteland, the Nanling, the North Zhu, the West Desert, and the Zhongzhou. Each region is vast and has endless territory, spanning thousands of miles away. There are thousands of races in the 5 domains. Although the human race has the largest number, it has the least high-end combat power and the weakest overall combat power. Therefore, among all the races in the 5 domains, their status is not to say the lowest, but it is also very low. According to legend, This world has been divided into 5 eras since the beginning of ancient times, the ancient times, the ancient times, the ancient times, the ancient times, and the ancient times we are in now. Among them, the span between each era is hundreds of thousands years or even millions of years. The ancient years have long been buried in the sand of time. Now, all races no longer know or understand the years before the ancient era. Where Chinmu is now, it is the eastern wasteland, a place controlled by the human sect and the ice and snow sect. I am weak now and cannot be exposed in front of others, so it is best to be the pusher behind the scenes. At this stage, if you want to use these 50,000 shock points to earn more shock points, the best way is to let more people know about it. No matter if you are a mortal or a monk. Everything needs to be known and everything needs to be seen, so that I can get the most shock points. Chinmu's eyes were clear and he kept thinking. The construction of the first fantasy secret realm was very important to him. If he could earn a lot of shock points, he would naturally be able to build a more powerful secret realm and earn more shock points in the future. So, Chinmu was very cautious when constructing this first fantasy secret realm. What kind of secret realm is suitable for being exposed to the public, and can also cause unparalleled sensation and shock? Chinmu thought for a long time, and suddenly his eyes lit up. Yes. He called out the system panel, selected among them, and finally determined my goal. It's you. The first secret realm, 9 dragons pulling the coffin. When 9 powerful and endless 5-clawed black dragons pulled an eternal bronze coffin from the sky, Chinmu believes that the shock it can bring is absolutely unprecedented. Strength realm, blood coagulation, bone tempering, divine bridge, celestial phenomenon, dragon transformation, almighty, king, saint, emperor. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 2. Naturally, it is impossible to build a real secret realm of the Kowloon coffin. Not to mention the mysterious and endless bronze coffin, which according to legend may contain the immortal realm, is the 9 black giant dragons that are extremely powerful and have the cultivation level of a great saint. A giant dragon cannot be built with just 50,000 shock points, let alone 9. Fortunately, what Chinmu wants to build this time is not the real 9 dragons coffin, but the phantom of the 9 dragons coffin. That's right, it's a shadow. Only by constructing a phantom, 50,000 shock points are barely enough. However, although it is a phantom, it must have the real momentum of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin, so that it can shock the world. Moreover, Chinmu had a vague idea in his mind. Nowadays, the human race in the world is weak and bullied by all races. He wants to start by building the secret realm of 9 dragons la coffin and build fantasy secret realms belonging to the human race. Improve the strength of the human race, boost the morale of the human race, let the human race rise again, and be proud of the world. And the Kowloon coffin pulling is just the beginning of it all. After deciding to build the secret realm of the 9 dragons lagging coffin, Chinmu made a thought and came to the secret space. This is an endless chaotic space with an endless radius and an elusive endpoint. Here, Chinmu is like a creation god. As long as he has enough shock points, he can build any secret realm of his imagination. When Kowloon pulls the coffin, let's start with the dragon. With a thought in his mind, Chinmu stretched out his hand and pointed in front of him. Following his movements, an illusory black dragon was slowly forming, and the shock points Chinmu had were also passing by rapidly. Shock points minus 200. Shock points minus 500. Shock points minus 300. Finally, when the shock points were reduced by 3000, an illusory black dragon was fully formed. The black dragon is huge and boundless, with a sense of endless vastness and eternity, as if it comes from the ancient world. The dragon's body is hundreds of meters long, its scales are sinister, and its powerful body is like steel poured from iron, full of shocking power. It was motionless, as if it were dead, but the terrifying power emanating from the body was awe-inspiring. When the phantom of the black dragon's corpse appeared in front of him, even Qin Mu almost thought that the black dragon was real, as if it was coming to life. After that, Qin Mu followed the same pattern and spent a full 24,000 shock points to create the remaining 8 black dragons. Now, there are only 23,000 shock points left. The next step is to build the bronze coffin. Qin Mu spent a lot of time building it and spent another 6,000 shock points before completing the construction of the bronze coffin's shadow coffin. After the bronze coffin was constructed, the next step was to assemble the bodies of the 9 black dragons with the bronze coffin. The shock points passed by like water. In the end, when Qin Mu had completed all the details, there were not many 50,000 shock points left. However, Qin Mu couldn't help but feel proud when he thought about the final effect of the 9 dragons coffin secret realm he had arranged. Although all 50,000 shock points were spent, he believed that these 50,000 shock points were definitely worth it. In fact, it was just the mere shadow of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin, which could not consume so many shock points from Qin Mu. But after completing the construction of the 9 black dragons and the bronze coffins and putting them together, Qin Mu had a new idea. And he invested the remaining nearly 20,000 shock points into his new idea, and combined it with the Kowloon coffin. As a result, almost all the 50,000 shock points were spent. But in Qin Mu's opinion, the final result was definitely worth the money. Moreover, the new ideas he arranged at the last moment will also help him arrange other secret realms in the future. It can be said that he kills multiple birds with one stone. After the secret realm is constructed, the next step is to release it. After leaving the secret space, Qin Mu thought about the best place to put the 9 dragons coffin secret realm, which is probably the Ice and Snow City where he is. The Ice and Snow City is the territory of the Ice and Snow sect, and the mountain gate of the Ice and Snow sect is located in this ice and snow, on top of the snow-capped mountains behind the city. This Ice and Snow City is definitely the place with the most monks in the nearby area, except for the Ice and Snow sect. Moreover, the Ice and Snow sect monks will definitely be able to detect the 9 dragons coffin secret realm placed here. Just stay here. After setting it at noon, the most eye-catching time to release the secret realm of Kowloon coffin pulling, Qin Mu went upstairs to the restaurants in the Ice and Snow City. At the top of the snow restaurant, he ordered a few drinks and dishes and prepared to admire the grand scene created by yourself for a while. This snow food building is the most expensive place in this Ice and Snow City. A meal here costs countless money. Most of the people who usually come here to spend money are monks. But Qin Mu has now unlocked the secret realm and realized some ordinary money. It is not difficult for him. At most, it only consumes a few shock points. Moreover, the secret realm of 9 dragons lagging coffin, but after he came to this world, the first secret realm built by his own hands. In this case, Qin Mu naturally has to find a good place to enjoy it. Reading books on May Day will be great. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Grab a deposit now. Event time, April 29th to May 3rd. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 3. While Qin Mu was eating and drinking, he was waiting for the time for the secret realm of the 9 dragons coffin to be revealed. Not far away from him, the conversation between 2 people at a wine table caught Qin Mu's attention. One of these 2 people is fat and the other is thin, but they both have powerful auras coming out of their bodies. They seem to be not ordinary people, but 2 monks. But at this moment, the faces of these 2 people were a little ugly, with a bit of anger. That palace of disillusionment is really bullying people too much. Such behavior is simply insulting our Ice and Snow sect. The fat monk put down the wine glass in his hand and said angrily. That's right, the young master of the Palace of Disillusionment, who has a romantic nature and has harmed countless human female cultivators, is he worthy of junior sister Ling Xiu? The thin monk agreed, his voice also very indignant. That beast must have coveted junior sister Ling Xiu's beauty, so he begged the master of the Palace of Disillusionment to get engaged to junior sister Ling Xiu. Alas, it's a pity that my ice and snow sect is not strong enough, otherwise I wouldn't have let junior sister Ling Xiu use a duel to protect her dignity. Huh, what's the matter of lack of strength? It's obvious that the Palace of Disillusionment forgot his identity as a human race and took refuge in the ancient race. He is really a scum of the human race. On the side, listening to the two monks, one fat and one thin, talking, in a few words, Qin Mu also understood the whole story. The two monks, the fat one and the thin one, seemed to be from the ice and snow sect. The Ling Xiu in their mouth's junior sister, whose full name is Ye Ling Xiu, is also a disciple of the ice and snow sect, and is also a direct disciple of the ice and snow sect leader. Ye Ling Xiu is extremely beautiful, but her talent is not good. However, she has always practiced diligently and put in many times the effort than other monks. Now her cultivation level is he seems to be the number one person in the younger generation of the ice and snow sect. Moreover, Ye Ling Xiu is friendly and approachable, and is very popular among everyone in the ice and snow section, but the young master of the Palace of Disillusionment must have taken a fancy to Ye Ling Xiu's beauty, so he begged him to help her. The father of the palace master asked him to propose marriage to the ice and snow sect. The young master of the Palace of Disillusionment was usually a romantic person and had brought harm to countless female monks. Ye Ling Xiu naturally refused to agree to the proposal of marriage from such a playboy, and the ice and snow sect also refused. But the Palace of Disillusionment used its power to force the ice and snow sect to hand over Ye Ling Xiu. The Palace of Disillusionment was originally about the same strength as the ice and snow sect. But at some point, the entire clan defected to the ancient clan and became the leader of the ancient clan. He was a lackey and even helped the ancient clan to enslave the human race. The Palace of Disillusionment also received many rewards from the ancient clan for its loyal work. The sect's strength increased a lot, making it difficult for the ice and snow sect to become its enemy. Ye Ling Xiu was naturally unwilling to marry the other party, but she was afraid of directly marrying him. Refusing to anger the other party, causing the other party to retaliate against the ice and snow sect, he can only choose to confront the young master of the Palace of Disillusionment. If he loses, he will marry the other party. If he wins, there is no need to mention the marriage. Although the young master of the Palace of Disillusionment is a dandy, but he was born with a king's body with great potential, and received various chance treasures given by the ancient tribe. Now his strength is firmly superior to that of Ye Ling Xiu. He is extremely confident about the duel, so he naturally agreed. Now there is not enough time left before the duel. 1 month. Many monks in the ice and snow palace could see that Ye Ling Xiu could not win at all, which was why he felt so uncomfortable and depressed. To seek refuge with the ancient tribe. Qin Mu, who was drinking alone, heard the conversation between the fat and thin monks and couldn't help but feel he shook his head, feeling very disdainful in his heart. After coming to this fantasy world for half a month, he also understood the situation of the human race. In addition to the weak strength of the human race itself, there are also many spineless human monks like this Palace of Disillusionment. For their own sake, for their own interests, they chose to take refuge with the ancient tribe, and even turned over to help the evil tyrants and help the ancient tribe enslave the human race. These guys are not worthy of being called human beings at all. However, these things only passed in Qin Mu's mind for a moment. Although this Ye Ling Xiu his experience is outrageous. But Qin Mu believes that with the help of the fantasy mystery realm creation system, sooner or later he can help the human race rise from the bottom, rise again, and stand firm in the world. The time is almost up, Let this secret realm of 9 dragons coffin be the beginning of officially announcing my arrival in this world. Seeing the sun hanging high in the sky, Qin Mu drank the wine in the glass. He looked up at the sky above the ice and snow city, and thought. The secret realm of the 9 dragons coffin is open. Buzz, there are strange fluctuations in the sky above the ice and snow city. Open, the sky of the ice and snow city where the sun was originally shining suddenly changed. The sky turned dark. The void fluctuated, and 9 huge dragon corpses, pulling an ancient bronze coffin, cut through the void and appeared from the void, carrying a wave of the simple and vast majesty of heaven seems to have come from distant antiquity. The 9 dragons pulling the coffin have arrived. What's going on? Why is it getting dark? The 2 fat and thin monks who were drinking in the snow food building were naturally keenly aware of the changes outside. At the same time, almost all the mortals and monks in the ice and snow city were aware of this change. Why is it dark? At this moment, countless people in the ice and snow city looked up at the sky in confusion. And the next moment, everyone who looked up saw a scene that they would never forget. That is. Oh my God, what did I see? This is. In the vast void, 9 huge black dragon corpses stretched across the sky like a black Milky Way, blocking the sun. The 9 dragon corpses were all black and had thick scales. Even though they were dead, they still exuded endless and majestic pressure, which made people tremble uncontrollably. What's even more unbelievable is that behind these 9 dragon corpses, there are thick black iron ropes tied to them, and they finally gather together to connect to a huge ancient bronze coffin. The ancient coffin is simple, with ancient and vague patterns engraved on it, full of the vicissitudes of time, as if it has existed for countless thousands of years. 9 dragon corpses seem to have come through ancient time and space, appearing above the ice and snow city, blocking the sky. Immediately after the Zhulang La coffin appeared, Qin Mu's system beep sounded crazily. You received shock points add 80 from Zhao Vucheng. You received shock points add 10 from Qi Yang. You received shock points add 150 from Song Wen. You received shock points add 30 from Zhuan Wenchang. You received shocking points add 300 from Qin Ruyuan. You received. As the system prompt sounded, the shock points Qin Mu gained increased even more crazily. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyuan Taoist. Chapter 4. Here, Qin Mu's shock points increased crazily, and the sensation in Ice and Snow City had just begun. At this moment, almost all the humans in the Ice and Snow City looked up to the sky, looking at the 9 huge dragon corpses and the mysterious endless bronze coffin, their eyes full of shock. In the snow food building, the 2 monks from the Bingxiu sect, fat and thin, who were talking before, came to the window at some point and looked up at the sky, shocked. So, is that the legendary dragon? The fat monk raised his arm tremblingly to the sky and said with a trembling voice. Okay, it seems to be a dragon. Oh my God, the legendary creature actually appeared in the ice and snow city. The thin monk swallowed and replied with a trembling voice. Even in this fantasy world, dragons are a supreme existence that tower over all living beings. Among the ancient tribes that exist today, there are some powerful ethnic groups that all have dragon blood, but they only have part of the dragon blood. Real dragons have almost never appeared in the world. Today is the ancient era. Before the ancient times, there were the ancient times, the ancient times, the ancient times, and the ancient times. Each period of time was tens or even millions of years apart. Creatures like dragons can almost be traced back to the immortal ancients, which are even more distant than the ancient times, but those were all millions of years ago. Nowadays, all the spirits in the world don't even know the history of the ancient times, let alone the immortal ancients. But now, a giant dragon that is suspected to be an ancient creature has appeared and descended into the world. What's even more terrifying is that 9 heads of this legendary dragon appeared in succession. The nine-headed mysterious and powerful dragon has now become a coffin-pulling beast. What kind of supreme existence is buried in that coffin? Hurry, go and report what happened in Ice and Snow City to the sect leader. The fat monk shook his head fiercely, forcing himself to look away from the extremely shocking scene in the sky. He wanted to return to the sect and report what happened here to the sect leader, but was stopped by the thin monk. No need to go. The thin monk shook his head. The sect master has taken part in nature. The Ice and Snow City is so close to the sect, and the scene is so sensational. Do you think the sect master will not know? Oh my God, the dragon! Unbelievable, unbelievable! The legendary Holy Spirit has reappeared in the human world. Is this true? In the Ice and Snow City, there was a commotion. Both mortals and monks looked up to the sky and were extremely shocked. Many people, after experiencing the initial shock, knelt down devoutly and kowtowed to the sky to express their feelings. The reverence in my heart. Qin Mu, the man behind all this, was standing leisurely on the heights of the Snow Food Building, watching the reactions of people everywhere in the city, and his heart was filled with joy. He knew that his first move was the right one. In just this short moment, the shock points that he had almost exhausted by creating the Nine Dragons Coffin secret realm had suddenly increased by 50,000. It had already surpassed the previous one. All the shock points consumed in creating the secret realm have been replenished. And now, this number is still rising rapidly, with no sign of stopping. This is just the beginning. The first secret realm I created will not end so easily. Standing on the top of the Snow Food Tower, Qin Mu showed a controlling smile on his lips. How could the first secret realm he had worked so hard to create end here? Kowloon pulls the coffin and sets off. With Qin Mu's soft drink, the 9 huge dragon corpses in the sky seemed to move with his thoughts. They no longer stopped, but pulled the bronze coffins behind them and slowly flew out of the Ice and Snow City. Outside the Ice and Snow City, on top of the snow-capped mountains. This place is where the Ice and Snow sect is located. Palaces are located on the top of the snow-capped mountains, with many disciples and monks coming and going. Although it is cold here, those who can enter the Ice and Snow sect are monks and no longer mortals. Naturally, they are not afraid of the cold on the top of the snow-capped mountains. And at the highest point of all the Ice and Snow sect's palaces, a pure white palace stands. All the Ice and Snow sect monks look at this palace with deep reverence hidden in their eyes. This is where Xueruyan, the leader of the Ice and Snow sect, lives. At this moment, in this white palace, a beautiful lady in palace attire with high hair and beautiful appearance is standing in front of the main hall. Her eyes are deep, as if looking through the clouds and mist into the distance. She is the leader of the Ice and Snow sect, Snow like Smoke. But at this moment, Xueruyan's beautiful face was filled with shock. 9 giant dragons, pulling a coffin, appeared from the void. No, it was not a real scene, just a shadow. Xueruyan's eyes were dimly shining. Behind her realm, ever since the 9 dragons' law coffin appeared in Ice and Snow City, the majestic and vast aura had alarmed her. But she could also see at a glance that this extremely shocking the scene of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin was not real, but just an illusion. Because of this, she remained steady and stayed on the top of the snow mountain without moving. If it were real, she would probably go to Ice and Snow City as soon as possible. After all, there are countless human mortals in the Ice and Snow City. If the scene of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin is true, I am afraid that simply falling from the sky will wipe out all life in the entire Ice and Snow City. Naturally, Xueruyan will not sit back and watch this. When the situation happens, she will rush to rescue. But now that it is a phantom, she is no longer anxious. But even so, she still pays close attention to the movements of the 9 dragons pulling the bronze coffin. When she sees the 9 giant dragons pulling the bronze coffin, crossing over the Ice and Snow City, flying towards the Tianduan Mountains in the east, Xueruyan could no longer keep calm. With a flash of light, her body disappeared from the top of the snow mountain. She wanted to catch up and take a look. This shocking sight. Why did the Kowloon coffin move, and where will it eventually go? Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 5. 9 huge black dragon corpses, pulling a bronze coffin, set off from the sky above Ice and Snow City and flew in the direction of Tianduan mountain range. The dragon corpse is majestic, and the ancient coffin is simple and weathered, as if it wants to be immortal with the sky and coexist with the earth. It has moved, the Kowloon coffin has moved. Have you set off? Where are you going? 9 dragon corpses are pulling an ancient bronze coffin forward. Are they going to the burial place? In the Ice and Snow City, the monks were shocked and set off quickly, trying to keep up with the footsteps of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin. You receive shock points, add 5 from Zhaolu. You receive shock points, add 300 from Lu Yucheng. You receive shock points, add 15 from Yang 11. You receive shocking points, add 8,999 from Shuiruyan. Let me go, one person can bring me 89.99 shock points. Listening to the system prompts next to his ears, Qin Mu smacked his lips. Shuiruyan? I seem to have heard of this name just now. He seems to be the master of the Ice and Snow sect, right? The other party is indeed strong. The contribution points provided by one person, they are all comparable to countless others. Seeing that the total value has risen to nearly 80,000 shock points, Qin Mu smiled slightly. Don't worry, the real climax is yet to come. Outside the Ice and Snow City, Shuiruyan followed the shadow of Zhuolong pulling the coffin from a distance, her beautiful eyes full of doubts. Zhuolong's coffin was not moving very fast, so she could easily keep up. However, until now, she still doesn't understand where this 9 dragon coffin came from. Where are you going again? What exactly is its purpose? Shuiruyan was filled with doubts, and she was also filled with doubts in addition to shock and awe as she followed the monks who chased her out of the Ice and Snow City. Buzz. Just when Shuiruyan and others were filled with doubts, changes appeared again. On top of the bronze coffin, the void began to move like water, and there was a faint air of chaos lingering around it. Immediately afterwards, a human-shaped light and shadow appeared, standing on the ancient coffin. What kind of figure is this? It is just a shadow standing quietly, but it has an invincible spirit that covers the past, present and future, and pushes across the 3 realms and 6 realms. That invincible aura that looked down upon the world and the eternal starry sky made the monks who were chasing after them all unable to help but kneel down. That's right, just kneeling. Just now in the Ice and Snow City, when the 9 dragon coffin appeared, the mortals knelt, but some monks did not. But now, when facing this human-shaped light and shadow, even a monk could not hide the tremor in his heart and couldn't help but kneel down. This kind of breath. Shuiruyan's voice trembled. After the humanoid light and shadow appeared, she felt her legs weaken and she almost knelt down with everyone else. It is a kind of natural worship deep in the origin of life. It is worship and respect for a supreme existence. Could this kind of aura be that of the legendary ancient saint of the human race? Among the many monks kneeling below, some couldn't help but speak. In the history of the human race, saint-like existences have been born. Those who can reach the level of saints are already at the absolute top of the human race and will be worshipped by many human races. That's right. Because of this, the monk guessed that this human-shaped light and shadow might be a saint. An ancient saint? How could it be an ancient saint? Shuiruyan's heart trembled slightly. Although the ancient saint was powerful, he was never so powerful as this. No, the two, I'm afraid there is no comparison at all. Compared with the one in front of me, the ancient saint is just like the difference between a firefly and a bright moon. There is no comparison at all. Who is she? In the history of our human race, has such a supreme existence ever been born? Snow is as shocking as smoke. When this human-shaped light and shadow appeared just now, she had a glimpse and saw a corner of the other party's true appearance. The other party's immortal body stood still, with hair flying, as if, she is a human woman. However, has such a powerful existence really been born in the history of the human race? Shweruyan cannot believe it. At least in the limited history of the human race, such a existence has never appeared. If there is, the human race will not be ranked low among all races and suffer bullying. This question not only exists in the hearts of Shweruyan, but also in the hearts of other human race monks present. Now, most people have seen it. That Julong the coffin, and the last human-shaped light and shadow that emerged, are all illusory, and seem to be a historical display. But they must have really existed. That human-shaped light and shadow must definitely surpass the legendary ancient saint of the human race. I'm afraid, it can be compared with the ancient emperor of the Jideo who was born among all races. But, is that human-shaped light and shadow standing on the bronze coffin really a human race? In the history of my human race, this kind of person was really born. Waiting for a great existence. Everyone looked up to the sky. Their eyes were fixed on the human-shaped light and shadow above the 9-dragon coffin. They were waiting. Waiting for an answer. The human race has been bullied for too long, just because there is no one. The most powerful person who can clear the world and suppress all races in the world will appear. The human race needs such a strong man to appear. Even if it was in the past, an extremely long time ago. At least, they know that we, the human race, can also give birth to a truly unparalleled one. The one who is strong. Our human race is also qualified to be proud of all races. Our human race has also stood tall in the heavens with endless glory. If such a existence really appeared in the history of the human race, I would like to call it, the ancient emperor. An old monk looked up at the sky, with tears in his eyes, and said tremblingly, in the history of today's races, almost all powerful races have been born to dominate the entire prehistoric universe, sweeping across the 9 heavens and 10 lands invincibly. The invincible existence of the hand. And all races will respect these powerful men as the ancient emperor. No one in the imperial city dares to resist. But only, in the limited history of the human race, such a powerful person has never been born. Invincible exist. It is precisely because of this that the human race is bullied by other races. A race that has never given birth to an ancient emperor is still a weak race no matter how many people it has. But now, if this human-shaped light and shadow is really a human race, that proves that the human race had a being who could rival the ancient emperor a long time ago. And if such existence really existed in the history of human race, if such existences are really our race and have appeared in the history of our race, I, Lu Wuxiu, would like to call them the great emperors of ancient times. I, Chen Jianghai, would like to be called the great emperor of the ancients. I, Shen Wunian, would like to be called the great emperor of the ancients. A monk from the human race spoke up. The human race is willing to call him the great ancient emperor. Standing shoulder to shoulder with the ancient emperor. Even Shweruyan was silently chanting. The human race really needs an existence like the ancient emperor. Even if it only exists in history, it can bring endless hope to the current human race. It can also make the current human race stand upright again. In the sky, the 9-dragon coffin is still moving forward slowly. And the road stands tall. The human-shaped light and shadow on the bronze coffin seem to hear the calls of many human races below. The light and shadow dimmed, and the body became clearer and clearer. She appeared from nothingness, as if she had stepped forward from the distant ancient times, breaking away from time. Bound by the long river, she came to this world alive. Her hair was flying, and her clothes were like hunting, as if she had stepped out of a legend, so transcendent, like a fairy coming to earth. Her immortal body was slender, her clothes were fluttering, light rain and chaotic energy were flying around her. She even wore a grimace mask on her face, overlooking the eternal starry sky. Although, she did not reveal her true face. Although, her figure was still a little blurry. But at this moment, the monks below all had blurry eyes with tears. They all knew that before them, this woman is really a human. When she appeared, everyone present felt the blood in their whole body trembling. It was a rhythm and resonance coming from the depths of the blood, and it couldn't be faked. In the history of the human race, it was really an existence comparable to the ancient emperor has appeared. Moreover, it is also an empress. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 6. You receive shock points add 80 from Su Vuchang. You receive add 100 shock points from Jian Chen. You receive shock points add 200 from Lu Yongchun. When the shadow of the ruthless emperor emerged above the 9 dragons' coffin, Qin Mu's shock points increased crazily. 80,000, 90,000, 100,000, the shock points are rising even faster than when the Kowloon coffin first appeared. On the one hand, it was because those who were shocked this time were basically monks. On the other hand, it was because the phantom of the ruthless emperor appeared, which shocked many monks even more than the 9 dragons pulling the coffin. Because this is a powerful person belonging to the human race. He is an ancient emperor belonging to the human race. After being in this world for so long, Qin Mu also knows why the human race has the largest number of people in the universe, but its status is worse than that of other races. It is because in this ancient era, in the limited history of the human race, there is no one who can sweep across the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and look down upon the eternal universe. The strongest one appears. Other strong clans have had strong men like this. Only the human race doesn't. The strongest person is the foundation and soul of a race. Therefore, without the heritage and pride left by the ancient emperor-level powerhouse, the human race has a low status and is even bullied. But now, the appearance of the ruthless empress has brought a glimmer of hope and a glimmer of light to the human monks. In our human race, it turns out that such an eternally invincible existence has appeared before. It turns out that our human race can also have such supreme beings that are invincible in heaven and on earth. Because of this, everyone was so excited because of the appearance of the ruthless emperor's shadow. The phantom of the ruthless emperor was condensed by consuming 15,000 shock points, and spent the remaining shock points to condense a wisp of bloodline power that could resonate with the human bloodline. Now it seems that this transaction is a huge profit. Qin Mu said with a smile. If the true form of the ruthless emperor emerges, it will naturally resonate with the human bloodline. But now it is a phantom after all, so in order to achieve his goal, Qin Mu can only exchange for a trace of bloodline power that can resonate with the human bloodline. It is hidden in the shadow of the ruthless emperor. Now it seems that the effect is quite good. Okay, the previous preparation has been completed, only the last step is left. Qin Mu said to himself. This 9 dragons coffin secret realm has only one final step left to finish, and it can end here. Outside the ice and snow city. The Kowloon coffin is walking slowly, and a woman who makes the whole world eclipse steps on it. Her beauty is unparalleled. Below, many human monks kowtow devoutly and call out the 4 words of the ancient emperor. After a long time, a faint sigh came from the ancient bronze coffin. A sigh, as if it were an eternity apart, like falling into a dream. The ruthless man's shadow stood on the ancient coffin, looking into the distance. In his hand, a simple bronze ring appeared. The ring is simple, without any decoration, but it has an indescribable celestial charm. She raised her hand gently, and the ring slipped from her fingertips and fell into the world. Afterwards, the 9 dragons pulling the coffin and the shadow of the ruthless emperor fluctuated together, and finally dissipated into nothingness. In the void, only a long and faint sigh remained. Not to become an immortal, just to wait for you to come back in the world of mortals. He sighed faintly, as if he had gone through eternity. Not to become an immortal, but to wait for someone to return in the world of mortals. At this moment, all the monks of the race could not help but have tears falling down their faces. They seemed to be affected by this. Infected by thoughts. It was not until the shadows of the ruthless emperor and the 9 dragons pulling the coffin disappeared that many human monks seemed to wake up from a dream. Looking at the empty sky, everyone felt empty in their hearts, as if they were lost. Lost his soul, lost his backbone. The supreme human emperor has left. How great it would be if the ancient emperor of our human race could appear in this world. Not to become an immortal, just to wait for someone to return in the world of mortals? Who is it that can make an ancient emperor miss him so much? The hearts of many monks are filled with unparalleled shock and doubt. The shadow of the great emperor disappeared. Shweruyan looked at the place where the Zhuangla coffin disappeared, with a thoughtful look on her face, as if she had thought of something. This phantom cannot appear for no reason. It must have been that the human empress really passed by here in this coffin. The empress power was involved in creation, and it must have been the Tao marks engraved between heaven and earth. She noticed the empress's thoughts, felt the Dao marks left by the empress, and recorded the scene on her own initiative. It has been recorded in the ancient books that Shweruyan has read. There was an ancient saint in the human race who meditated in one place for hundreds of years. After he came out of seclusion, there was still that ancient saint in that place of seclusion. The phantom of the saint appeared, as if he was enlightened there. Since the ancient saints can do this, the human emperor who is stronger than the ancient saints can naturally do this easily. I don't know how many years ago, there was a human race the empress passed by in a 9-dragon coffin. The human empress seemed to drop the ring in her hand at the end. Shweruyan looked a little excited, and she cast her gaze towards the endless Tianduan mountains in front of her. I just saw clearly that the great emperor of the human race threw the bronze ring in his hand somewhere in the Tiandu mountain range. Although what was thrown out at this moment was just a shadow. But on that day, the empress must have he threw the real bronze ring away. Although this bronze ring looks ordinary, it is absolutely extraordinary to be in the hands of a great emperor. So, after such a long time, is this bronze ring still there? What? A touch of excited red could not help appearing on Shweruyan's beautiful face. Her heart couldn't help but beat loudly. If the bronze ring was still there, maybe, this would be a big event. What an opportunity! What a great blessing! Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 7. Not only Shweruyan, but also some sharp-minded monks at this moment also set their sights on the place where the 9-dragon coffin disappeared. There, the human empress once dropped a bronze ring into the Tianduan mountains below. This must have been what the empress did eons ago. So, even though such a long time has passed, is the bronze ring still there? For a time, many monks were eager to set off immediately and rush to the broken mountain range to find the creation left by the great emperor. You receive add 50 shock points from Li Yong. You receive add 200 shock points from Guamdong Lei. You receive shock points add 300 from Machen. The shadow of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin has disappeared, but Qin Mu is still gaining shock points in a steady stream. Today, the shock points have exceeded the 150,000 mark and are approaching the 200,000 mark. If only the 9 dragons coffin's secret realm appeared, it might not be able to cause such a big shock to the human monks. But now that Qin Mu has added the phantom of the empress to it, Qin Mu has gained so many shock points after being shocked. Presumably by now, some of the monks have thought that there might be objects left by the human race emperor in the broken mountain range that day, right? A smile of wisdom appeared on Qin Mu's face. Everything is under his control. This 9 dragons coffin secret realm is just the beginning of a series of fantasy secret realms he built. When building the secret realm, Qin Mu was thinking. It's not enough to just build a 9 dragons coffin secret realm. He wants to leave suspense in this first secret realm. Leave a suspense enough for the human monks to continue to explore. And the bronze ring dropped by the ruthless emperor, this is the suspense set up by Qin Mu. With this suspense, there will definitely be many human monks going to the Tianduan mountains to explore the area where the ruthless emperor left the ring. At that time, he only needs to construct the first 2 related secret realms are then placed in the broken mountain range. Naturally, many monks will come uninvited. This is what Qin Mu has long thought about. After all, secret realms are only suitable for existing in those uninhabited places. Who listens? I said that the secret realm is set in a crowded place. But what if the secret realm is set in a sparsely populated place and no one comes by then? I don't know how long it will take to wait and see. Instead of doing this, it is better to do it yourself and open the secret realms one by one. The chain is linked together, attracting many human monks to come. When the time comes, this secret realm is discovered, and it is expected to cause all kinds of sensations. It is estimated that now, there are monks who are going to explore the broken mountain range on that day, and it is time for me to start building the second secret realm. Qin Mu said to himself. He was not in a hurry, because Qin Mu did not intend to construct this second secret realm into a large open secret realm like the 9 dragons law coffin. He already had his own plans for this second secret realm. The idea is to build a small secret realm. Therefore, after building the secret realm, you only need to put the secret realm into the Tianduan mountains and wait for the destined person to come. There is no need to rush. Well, let's start building the second secret realm now. Qin Mu thought, and he came to the secret space again. The chaotic space is boundless, and there are wisps of chaotic mist filling the air. As soon as he came here, Qin Mu felt like a creation god, with a feeling that everything was under control. Feel. First, build a corridor. Qin Mu thought, and a rectangular corridor slowly formed. The corridor was wide, 10 meters wide, and hundreds of meters long. The corridor was paved with green bricks and jade, and blank murals were hung on the walls on both sides. Qin Mu looked at the blank murals and took a deep breath. It was very simple to construct a corridor. But he knew that perfecting the content on the murals was the top priority of this second secret realm. As Qin Mu thought and constructed, lines began to emerge on the first blank mural, and were finally completed to form a picture. On the picture, there are 2 children. A boy and a little girl, like they are brother and sister. The boy is walking away, turning his head away, which is not shown on the mural. The little girl is dressed in pink and jade, with 2 braids on her head, chasing the boy in front, with a look on her childish face, full of smiles of joy and happiness. After the first mural was constructed, Qin Mu began to construct the second mural. Not long after, the second mural was also completed. On this picture, the young man carved a bronze mask, and a ring made of bronze, which was given to the little girl. It could be seen that this was a toy made by the boy for the little girl. Although it was very rough, the little girl was still very happy and threw herself in the boy's arms. The first 2 pictures were very heartwarming. But when it came to the third picture, the scene suddenly changed. There was no boy in the picture, only the little girl was left, running towards a teleportation altar, losing her shoes and being stained with it, was covered with dust, and her face was covered with tears. However, in her hands, she held the bronze mask and the bronze ring firmly. In the next scene, there was no more boy, only the little girl. One person. She grew up, but she was always looking for traces of her brother. She heard that immortals could travel thousands of miles in a day, traveling across the 9 states and 5 regions, so she wanted to join the Immortal Gate. But there was no Immortal Gate to accept. Because she is not qualified enough, has no talent, and is not even as good as a mortal body, so she cannot practice. But she is not discouraged or depressed. Instead, she has been struggling in the world of mortals, relying on the persistence in her heart to find her brother. Neon, rise against the world. She competes with the sky, the earth, others, and herself. She has no outstanding talent, but she relies on her own strength to kill all the kings in the world and kill one at imperial path of blood, independent in the 9 heavens, looking down upon all the heavens throughout the ages. From a physique inferior to that of an ordinary body, he finally reached the pinnacle and became one of the most powerful beings in ancient times. She is the most talented woman in ancient times, stunning for eternity, standing tall in the heavens, and making all the gods tremble. But everything she did was not for the sake of becoming an immortal, which all monks dream of. She has been struggling in the world of mortals. Have been waiting for someone. Wait for that young man. Wait for him to come back. At this point, the scene ends. The murals on the hundreds of meters long corridor are finally completed. Thanks to Kbalsam123123 for the 200-point reward. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 8. The 100-meter-long corridor starts from the childhood of the ruthless empress and ends with her carving a blood-stained imperial path, standing on the 9 heavens, overlooking the eternal heavens. All the experiences during this period were like legends and myths. However, even though all the murals had been filled in, Qin Mu still had no intention of stopping. He knew that the most critical step was still missing, the finishing touch. Exchange the innate Dao marks and engrave them into the murals to realize all the scenes on the murals. As long as you look at the murals, you will be immersed in them and see these scenes that happened before. Qin Mu told his request. Just a rigid mural cannot perfectly reflect the ruthless man's legendary experience. Only the feeling of being as if the past scene is happening right in front of your eyes, can it be perfect. Show it out. Your shock points 500. Your shock points 800. Your shock points 400. Your shock points 800. The shock points flowed away like water. In the end, all the murals in the 100-meter-long corridor have been transformed. And now, these murals, as if they have gone through the finishing touches, have finally become lifelike. It's as if this place truly records the rise of a human empress. Finally, after the corridor was finished, Qin Mu built an ancient palace behind the corridor. The furnishings in the ancient palace are very simple, with only one table in the center. As for what was put on the case, Qin Mu had already made plans. System, open the exchange list. I want to exchange for the heaven-swallowing demonic skill of the ruthless emperor. Qin Mu said. Immediately, the system's exchange list appeared in front of him. Sky-swallowing demon technique, full volume, price, 3 million shock points. 3 million shock points? Qin Mu clicked his tongue. This was too much and he couldn't afford to exchange it. But fortunately, you can exchange part of the heaven-swallowing demon skill through the system, not all of it. Otherwise, Qin Mu would have to redeem the entire volume of the heaven-swallowing demonic art, and he didn't know how many years and months it would take to collect these shocking points. In the end, Qin Mu spent 100,000 shock points to redeem the first 2 volumes of the heaven-swallowing demon technique. The contents of these 2 volumes are enough to enable an ordinary person who is not familiar with spiritual practice to the realm of celestial phenomena. A simple Bible appeared in Qin Mu's hand, exuding a distant and vast aura. It was the content of the first 2 volumes of the heaven-swallowing demon technique. After placing the first 2 volumes of the heaven-swallowing demon technique on the case, Qin Mu spent another 10,000 shock points to exchange for a blank set of scriptures, which he also placed on the case. The reason why this blank scroll is worth 10,000 shock points is because there are restrictions on it. Monks below the saint level cannot see through the contents of the ancient scroll at all. Qin Mu had no plans to add content to this ancient scroll immediately. Because this ancient scroll can be regarded as a clue he left related to the ruthless emperor. Anyway, there are restrictions on this ancient scroll, and non-sages cannot see through them. In the future, if someone is destined to get this ancient scroll, whenever Qin Mu wants to reorganize the layout around the ruthless emperor, he will write the content on this ancient scroll again and let others see it. Because this ancient scroll was redeemed by him with shock points, it is nothing more than a simple thing to engrave the content on it, even if the ancient scroll is in the hands of others. This second secret realm stores part of the inheritance of the ruthless emperor. Qin Mu looked at the well-constructed secret realm in front of him and said to himself, in the future, he will build many secret realms and guide many beings that only exist in legends and myths to appear. But at the same time, he will also arrange the inheritance of the next strong man will guide the current human race and give birth to more strong men. The history of the past will be written by me. The history of the future will be promoted by me. This feeling of being hidden behind the scenes, being the biggest boss behind the scenes in a fantasy world, it's simply not that exciting. The second ruthless inheritance secret realm has been built. The next step is to attach the secret realm to the bronze ring and then put it into the Tianduan mountains. With a thought in his mind, Qin Mu spent 30,000 shock points to exchange for a bronze ring that looked simple but contained a hint of fairy charm. Then, he attached the second secret realm of the ruthless man's inheritance to this on a bronze ring. As long as this bronze ring is touched, the spiritual power will be drawn into this second secret realm. Later, a space passage will be formed to attract other monks to enter. However, most monks can only enter 100. As for the ancient palace behind where the Mi-long corridor is, only those who pass the tests set by Qin Mu can pass. After doing all this, Qin Mu took a look at his current shock points. Before, his shock points had already increased, it has reached 250,000. Now after building the second secret realm, his shock points are only close to 60,000. This time I'm going to the Tianduan mountains. I'm afraid there are monks there now, so I have to improve my strength. Qin Mu withdrew from the secret space, played with the bronze ring in his hand, and thought. He is still just a mortal. With this kind of cultivation, he will definitely not be able to go to the Tianduan mountains. However, Qin Mu is not in a hurry when he arrives, because as long as you have shock points in hand, improving your strength is just a matter of minutes. It couldn't be easier. System, if I use all the shock points now, how far can I improve my realm? Qin Mu asked. You have two choices. One is to only focus on improving your realm. You can practice ordinary exercises to achieve half-step power. Second, in each realm, practice the most powerful ancient scriptures, break the limit of the realm, and supplement it with powerful combat techniques, which can elevate the realm to the first level of celestial phenomena. Cultivation realm, blood coagulation, bone tempering, divine bridge, celestial phenomenon, dragon transformation, great power, king, saint, great emperor. Half-step almighty and celestial phenomenon? The gap is quite big. But it is only a big difference in realm. If it is in terms of future potential, it is definitely the best among Tianxiang Zongtian. In the place where I am now, there are not many powerful monks. It is enough to upgrade my cultivation to the celestial realm. Qin Mu just thought for a few seconds and then made up his mind. He chose the latter and broke through the strength to the celestial realm. After all, things like realms will have shock points in the future, and they can be improved as much as they want. But if the foundation is if you don't do well at the beginning, it will be difficult to improve later. Moreover, there are no powerful monks near this ice and snow city. The cultivation level of the first level of Celestial Elephant is enough to sweep everything. System, I choose the second option. Qin Mu said. After his voice fell, the shock points passed quickly. Qin Mu's strength also increased rapidly at a terrifying speed of almost every breath. Just a few breaths later, His strength has changed from a mortal with no knowledge of cultivation to a great monk of the first level of the celestial realm. And he practices the strongest ancient scriptures in each realm, breaking the limits of each realm, and possessing unparalleled combat power. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 9. One breath, and you will be promoted to a greater realm. In just a few breaths, I ascended to the celestial realm. It doesn't require any training at all. As long as you have enough shock points, you can quickly improve your realm and reach the most perfect state. If this kind of thing spreads, I'm afraid it will make the monks in the world go crazy with jealousy. It is difficult for others to cultivate to the realm of celestial phenomena even if they practice hard all their lives. It only took Qin Mu a few breaths to reach this realm. At this time, Qin Mu felt that powerful divine power was surging in his body, his life essence was boiling, his body was flawless, and his clothes were fluttering, like an immortal descending from the dust, ethereal and elegant. After raising his strength to the celestial realm, Qin Mu checked his current state. Host, Qin Mu. Realm, first level of celestial phenomena. Cultivation techniques, mountain turning seal, sun moon seal, human king seal, snow-filled universe, kingly killing fist, sky cutting finger. Secret technique, immortal king Lin Jushin, starshine Jushin. Construct the secret realm, Kowloon coffin pulling secret place the secret realm of the inheritance of the ruthless emperor. As his realm improves, Qin Mu naturally possesses powerful techniques that match each realm. Therefore, not only is his realm profound, but his combat prowess is equally astonishing. At this time, Qin Mu was not said to be invincible in the territory near the Ice and Snow City, but he was capable of sweeping everything. Is this the power of the celestial realm? It's really amazing. Qin Mu realized his current state and smiled slightly. The next step is to rush to the Tianduan Mountains and arrange the second secret realm. Just when Qin Mu was about to rush to the Tianduan Mountains to arrange the secret realm of the inheritance of the Emperor Henren, he witnessed the 9 dragons pulling the coffin and the disappearance of the Emperor Renren's shadow Shueruyan, but he did not rush to Tianduan like the other monks. Mountains, but returned to the Ice and Snow sect. Shueruyan and Bingxiu were smart, and she knew very well that even if the once supreme empress of the human race really left something behind in the Tianduan Mountains, it might not be so easy to obtain. If there is no fate, I am afraid that even if I search through the Tianduan Mountains, I will not find anything. Therefore, she planned to return to the Ice and Snow sect first, and mobilized the entire sect to go to the Tianduan Mountains to look for the things left behind by the human emperor. Returning to the Ice and Snow sect, Shueruyan first called all the sect members together, and then ordered them to go down and let the entire sect take action to go to the Tianduan Mountains to look for the things left by the emperor. Where is Ling Shui? Why didn't you see her? After giving instructions, Shueruyan frowned and asked. She didn't see her eldest disciple Ye Lingxiu. Reporting back to the sect master, junior sister Ling Shui is in retreat. A disciple replied cautiously. Oh, you go ahead, I'll go find her. Shueruyan sighed softly, and the figure had disappeared into the main hall. Ice and Snow sect, in an ancient palace. A girl with flowing white clothes, black hair like waterfalls, and beautiful appearance was practicing with her eyes closed. Shueruyan appeared here beside the girl. There was a trace of distress in the eyes looking at the girl. This girl is none other than her disciple Ye Lingxiu. Ye Lingxiu's talent can only be regarded as inferior among the many disciples of the Ice and Snow sect. Because her natural physique is not very good. Well, her cultivation is even slower than some ordinary disciples. But she is smart, perseverant, and diligent. When others are practicing, she is also cultivating. When others are resting, she is still practicing. It can be said that she is the whole Bingxiu, the most diligent disciple of the sect. It was precisely because of this tenacity and ruthlessness that Yelingxiu was able to stabilize her cultivation level over other disciples, and gain the favor of Shuiruyan, who accepted her as her direct disciple. But now, because of her disillusionment with Na, the young master of the palace made an agreement for a duel, and it was less than a month before the duel. Therefore, Yelingxiu practiced harder and harder, trying to improve her strength as much as possible to cope with the next challenge. Lingxiu, wake up. Shuiruyan drank softly in a Taoist voice, causing Yelingxiu to wake up from her cultivation state. Master, why are you here? Yelingxiu opened her water-like eyes and looked at Yelingxiu, who appeared in front of her, her voice a little surprised. Ling Shui, my teacher has something to tell you. Shui. Ruyan told Yelingxiu what she had just ordered in the hall. Unexpectedly, after listening to what Shuiruyan said, Yelingxiu was surprised, but hesitantly said, Master, aren't there other senior brothers and sisters who have gone? I want to stay and practice. Time is running out and I don't want to waste it. Ling Shui, blindly practicing hard sometimes cannot solve the problem. Shuiruyan couldn't help but said. Although Master doesn't want to say it, Li Wushang from the Palace of Disillusionment, although his diligence and intelligence are far less than yours, is born with a king's body, and he can get twice the result with half the effort through cultivation. Coupled with the support of the ancient clan who gave him secret treasures and magical medicine, no matter how hard you practice now, you will hardly be his opponent in a month. Master, I know. Yelingxiu said calmly. But I don't want to give up. I have already thought about it. After 1 month, if I lose to Li Wushang, even if I die on the spot, I will not marry him. Yelingxiu's voice was calm and her eyes were clear. She has already thought about the duel in 1 month. If she can really win, all the problems will be solved. If she loses to Li Wushang, she will never die in battle. Agree to the other party's request. Ling Shui, don't worry, even if you lose, Master will not agree to his request from the Palace of Disillusionment. Shuiruyan said firmly. She, Shuiruyan, is not someone who betrays her disciples and surrenders to the enemy. But now, you don't need to retreat anymore. Follow your master to the Tianduan Mountains. Sometimes, fate is more important than cultivation. Even if you don't gain anything, it's still good to relax. Shuiruyan said. Well, everything follows master's orders. Yelingxiu nodded. Well, I will take you to the Tianduan Mountains now. After that, Shuiruyan took Yelingxiu and set off for the Tianduan Mountains. Before leaving, Shuiruyan looked at Yelingxiu with firm eyes and sighed secretly in her heart. Disciple, my master really hopes that you can find my human race. The opportunity left by the Supreme Being in the past. Perhaps, this will be the beginning of changing your destiny. Fantasy, I am the big boss behind the scenes. Author, Guanyun Taoist. Chapter 10. Outside the ice and snow city, there is the Tianduan Mountains. Qin Mu restrained his breath, quietly placed the bronze ring in the area where the Empress Shadow had dropped the ring, and then stayed aside to watch the show. At this time, many monks had already arrived in Tianduan mountain range. They had just witnessed the grand scene of the 9 dragons pulling the coffin, and now they were following the footsteps of the Empress, looking for the traces left by the great Emperor. Not long after, Shuiruyan arrived late with Yelingxiu. Ling Shui, search around this area. The former Supreme Empress of our human race should have dropped a bronze ring here. If you are destined, you may be able to find it. After arriving here, Shuiruyan said to Yelingxiu. Master, in the history of our human race, has there really been a being who could rival the ancient emperor? Or a woman? Yelingxiu had a look of fascination on her face. Just listening to Shuiruyan's narration, she was also filled with excitement. In the history of the human race, there really once existed an empress who could rival the ancient emperor. Has she now manifested herself in this world? It must be true, that kind of aura and that kind of blood rhythm cannot be faked at all. Shweruyan sighed. It's a pity that such a great emperor of the human race only existed a long time ago. If he were in the current world, my human race would not have such a difficult life. If I can be the emperor and reach the top of the extreme realm, I will protect my human race for eternity, let my race stand in the forest of powerful races, and never be bullied and enslaved by other races again. Yalingxia clenched her fists with a firm gaze. Which monk doesn't want to climb to the top and see the elegance at the highest place? And Yalingxia also wants to protect the human race. No longer let the human race be bullied and oppressed. The human race should strengthen itself. But in the heart, after making some great aspirations, Yalingxia could only sigh and started looking around according to the instructions of her master. After all, the legendary Jida realm was too far away from her, and her talent was so ordinary. She wanted to cultivate to this legendary realm is even more difficult. Originally, Yalingxia never thought that she would be able to find the things left by this legendary human empress. But at a certain moment, Yalingxia was suddenly stunned. Her eyes looked at to a certain place, a look of incredible talent appeared on her pretty face. There, a simple-looking bronze ring lay there quietly. Is this the bronze ring that the master mentioned? Yalingxia's heart pounded. He jumped straight up and quickly called Shweruyan to come over. At the same time, he walked over and picked up the bronze ring. Ling Shui, you actually found it. After hearing Yalingxia's call, Shweruyan hurried over. When she saw the bronze ring in Yalingxia's hand, Shweruyan's heart began to beat rapidly. She could feel that this bronze ring was the same one she once had. A human empress left behind. Ling Shui tried to inject a bit of spiritual power into this bronze ring. Seeing Yalingxia holding the bronze ring and not finding anything, Shweruyan couldn't help but say, "Good." Following Shweruyan's instructions, Yalingxia carefully input a trace of spiritual power into the bronze ring. A change occurred. The bronze ring began to glow, and emitted wisps of fairy light, shining in all directions. Yalingxia only felt her entire spiritual power will be sucked into this bronze ring. Lingxia. Shweruyan was startled and quickly reached out to grab Yalingxia. But the next moment, their figures flashed at the same time and disappeared. At the same time, the space slowly fluctuated, and a space passage was slowly formed. Space fluctuations permeated all directions, like bait, attracting monks from all directions. At this moment, many monks searching here sensed the space fluctuations, and were all alarmed, running towards this place. When they saw the space in front of them after the passage and the bronze ring suspended above the space passage, the monks were shocked. This bronze ring was actually here. There is also a space passage. Could it be the creation left by the Supreme Emperor in the past? Thinking of this, there is no more the monks hesitated and rushed into the space passage. You receive add 15 shock points from Li Chenqiu. You receive add 50 shock points from Gudong. You receive add 100 shock points from Wan Wuifeng. The monks entered the space channel like a tide, and the shock points Qin Mu gained continued to rise. However, after all, the shock that this space passage brought to many monks could not be compared with the previous 9 Dragons' Coffin secret realm, so Qin Mu's shock points did not increase quickly. However, he was not in a hurry. This is just the beginning, the real big deal is behind. The fun is about to begin. Qin Mu came to an ancient tree, sat down leisurely, closed his eyes, and prepared to watch the show. He did not need to enter the secret realm, he only needed a ray of soul to naturally know everything that happened in the secret realm. Ruthless man, the secret realm inherited by the great emperor. When Shweruyan and Yalingxia regained consciousness, they found themselves standing in an ancient corridor. On both sides of the corridor, there were stone carvings engraved with a few strokes, but they were also lifelike. Where is this place? Yelingxiu looked around and asked in shock. This should be a secret realm. I don't know if it was left by the former human empress, but it must have something to do with her. Shuiruyan breathed out lightly and guessed. There seems to be something recorded on this stone mural. Yelingxiu turned to look at the first stone carving. A young man turned his back and walked away. Behind him, a little girl carved in pink and jade ran towards the boy, with a smile of joy and happiness on her face. At first, the stone carvings were just stone carvings. But when Yelingxiu immersed her mind into it, she only heard a roar, and the surrounding scene changed drastically. The stone carvings in front of her seemed to come alive, and the contents on the stone carvings were truly displayed in front of her eyes. Shuiruyan and Yelingxiu's, the two of them, were in almost the same state. Their minds were shaken. The contents of the stone murals were displayed in front of them one after another. The contents of the stone murals reshaped the scenes of the past and not only unveiled a dusty corner of history, still set off huge waves in the hearts of the two women. They saw the rise of a supreme ancient emperor of the human race. It was a lonely road. It was a bloody road. What's more, an invincible road that reflects the heavens and shines for eternity.